It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones. It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Showtime! The Geno Jones Show coming to you at a special start time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. in Chicago, 4 p.m. out on the West Coast. Please subscribe, share, screen grab, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. My normal start times, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. It's been a lot going on. I had the honor to sit down along with my co-workers, sit down and talk to the President of the United States, President Joseph Robinette Biden. Did you know that's his name? Joseph Robinette Biden. So, POTUS 46. And so a lot of people have been hitting me up. When are you going to be able to hear the conversation with President Biden? This Friday morning, January 12th, the 7 o'clock hour. So I'd say 7 o'clock you need to have the radio station on. Probably somewhere around, close to 7:15 is when we will begin the conversation. So 7 o'clock. Make sure you are listening to Star 99.7 if you're here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro. And if you're not, I have good news. You can download the TuneIn app. TuneIn, TuneIn app. Just download it. Okay? That's simple. Or you can just go to star997.com. Just type it in. The word STAR, the number 997.com, and you'll see the listen line little icon, the link, the button. Click on that, and you can listen to the radio station live 24/7. But you can hear the conversation we have with President Joseph Biden. All right, I got a special guest coming up in a few minutes. She is running to be our brand new state representative here in the state of South Carolina for District 109, a district that Dion Tedder, as a matter of fact, that she is succeeding him. So we're going to talk to Tiffany Spann-Wilder, our friend of the show. She's an attorney, a dynamic woman. She's just brilliant. And the sister's going to keep it 1,000 like a lawyer does. So it's going to be a great conversation. I can't wait. But first, speaking of sisters, all right, listen, let me shout out. I want to congratulate one of my favorite actors, actresses, it doesn't matter gender, of all time. Angela Bassett, brilliant. Nobody did it like she did Tina Turner's character and What's Love Got to Do with It. Especially in that limo when she got to whooping that ass. She got tired. She's like, look, what you're not going to do is hit me one more time. I'm tired of you hitting me and beating me and raping me and all that. Today, we ain't doing it today, Ike. He didn't listen. When a black woman tells you, what we're not going to do, I ain't doing this today, you need to listen. Ike didn't listen. Ike got his ass whooped. The rest is history. Tina Turner went on to become Tina Turner. Rest in peace, power in paradise. So Angela Bassett, one of the greatest, like I said, actors of all time. So congratulations. She won an Oscar. So there's this organization, it's the Governor's Award. These are the same people that give out the Academy Awards. They're problematic, I know. especially when it comes to us, black folks, people of color. But Angela Bassett, which they're giving it because there's so many other Oscars that she should have won. She should have got the Academy Award last year for playing the Queen Mother in Wakanda Forever. Black Panther 2. She was brilliant in that. And then they had the nerve to kill her off at the end. I'm like, Ryan Coogler, dude, you were wrong for that. You were really, I almost walked out of the movie. I was so pissed. I wanted to beat somebody up. I'm like, I'm looking for somebody just to, and I ain't a violent dude, but I'm like, no, you can't kill off the queen. She was brilliant. I mean, her performance was chef's kiss. So Angela Bassett received the Governor's Award for her lifetime excellence, and her longtime friend, Regina King, who also won an Academy Award for, what was the movie about Beale Street? I can't think of it. But anyway, so Regina King presented Angela Bassett with the Governor's Award for her lifetime achievement of excellence. Now, I need to explain this to you. Angela Bassett and Regina King, they have been long time. They've known each other for decades. A long time friendship. They're like sisters. So Regina King gives Angela Bassett the award. Angela Bassett gives Regina King a kiss. She kissed her in the mouth. People have lost their damn mind. Now listen, I need you all to listen to me. Some of y'all doing way too much, okay? Y'all just reading too much into anything and everything, and some of y'all are projecting your feelings or your feelings, which is fine, but can we stop? Can we just stop blowing everything out of proportion and just running with everything that we see? Stop. Try to find out, like the history, or just mind your own damn business. How about that? Even if they weren't longtime friends, if they just first met and she decided to kiss her on the mouth, that's her business. Mind your own business. Like my grandmother would say, mind your business. Mind your own business, okay? All right, listen. Happy birthday today, January 10th, George Foreman, boxing legend, two-time heavyweight champion. He won an Olympic gold medal in boxing, the 1968 Summer Games in Mexico City. He's a preacher. Praise the Lord. Yes, minister, pastor, and pitchman for the George Foreman Grill. How many of you all out there right now watching me got that George Foreman Grill? As a matter of fact, you probably had to buy a couple of them because you was cooking in it, you was grilling in it so much, you wore the damn thing out. Happy 75th birthday to George Foreman. And if you remember the group, so remember Criss Cross back in the 90s, they were like, I think 12 and 13. You had Daddy Mac and the Mac Daddy. You had Chris, Mac Daddy, and then you had, both of them's name was Chris. You had the Daddy Mac and Mac Daddy. So the Mac Daddy, that Chris, unfortunately, he died of an overdose, I think almost 10 years ago. But there's one left, the light-skinned brother. Chris Daddy Mac Smith is 45. I remember when they were, like I said, 10, 11, 12. 45 now. So happy birthday to Chris Daddy Mac Smith of Criss Cross, the song. Make you wanna jump, jump. Make you wanna jump, jump. Now be careful, because some of y'all's knees now ain't what they were back in the 90s. You might jump and sudden pop and snap and won't be able to get up. So happy birthday to all my Capricorns celebrating a birthday. Let me bring on my guest. She is running to be the South Carolina State Representative for District 109. She is an attorney, one of the most renowned attorneys, definitely here in the state of South Carolina and really nationwide, and a friend of the show. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sister, inside and out. Ladies and gentlemen, there she is on screen. I bring to you the one, the only, Tiffany Spann-Wilder, your candidate. If you live in South Carolina, District 109, she is running to be your next South Carolina State Representative. Tiffany Spann-Wilder, welcome to the Geno Jones Show. Thank you, and thank you for being patient. We had to push the show back 30 minutes, so thank you for being understanding. Please accept my apologies. You know, life and the devil, because, you know, when you're doing something good or great, that's when the devil gets to really work. He just gets busy.
It happens. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and talk to you and your listeners. And I mean, I already feel really at home because you opened up talking about Delta sisters. So Angela Bassett is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh, great. Okay.
On Earth, of which I am a member. And then you talked about the sick and tired of being sick and tired segment in the car when she did the Tina Turner movie. And I don't know if you know this, but that quote is attributed to Fannie Lou Hamer, who is also a Delta girl.
Oh,
and
wow.
So you set the stage. It's a trilogy now that I'm here. So you talked about Angela, you talked about the quote that Fannie Lou Hamer is famous for, and now I'm here. So we're good. We're good.
Well, and I'm so glad to have you. So we're just going to have a conversation. Like I tell folks, I'm an entertainer, radio, TV host, comedian, author, motivational speaker, but I ain't trying to be Lester Holt. I ain't trying to be Craig Melvin. I ain't trying to be Don Lemon. All I can be is the best version of Geno Jones. So let me ask you, let's just say if we were taking a walk in the, you know, barbershops in the neighborhood, hair salons, one of the first questions people always ask, well, why do you want to do something? So if we were to walk in a barbershop or a hair salon and somebody said, okay, Tiffany Spann-Wilder, why do you want to represent South Carolina State District 109? You have the floor. All
right. Well, I think the time is now. It definitely is now. I am a product of this district. Grew up here. Actually, one of the slogans in my campaign is 109, born, raised, and ready. And I think that sometimes when you've been someplace and you've seen things and you make comments about it, ultimately you get to the point where you say, what am I going to do about it? And that's where I am. I've had the privilege of growing up here, moving away for formal education, a couple years away working, and then I've come back and I've been able to be a part of the community in a number of ways as an entrepreneur, operating the Spann-Wilder Law LLC. I've been a municipal judge in the city of North Charleston. I've been a magistrate for Charleston County. I have seen people in the best of times, and I've seen them in the worst of times. And they're my neighbors, they're my family, they're my friends. And I feel like it's the time now to expand my voice. I've never been accused of being someone who spoke quietly, but when you're a jurist, when you're in a court position as a judge, you serve in a position of neutrality. The facts come before you, you listen to what's there, you apply the law. Whatever my opinions are, they're left in my head, maybe shared with the staff or another judge, but they're not anything that comes forth in public opinion. And I'm at that point in my life now where somebody has got to step up and advocate for the people in this community. Lots of things have been happening here, are happening, and I don't know that we're always getting our fair share. I think at some levels, people take advantage of this district. We're a gold mine, I would say. But I think folks come in and they look at population. It's heavily African American, and people just think that they can jump in and sell us a bag of goods all the time. And I'm tired of it. I think that they need someone who knows them, who sees them, who understands them. Not somebody who's passing by, but somebody who's here with them. I'm going to be the lady that you might have that conversation with in one of the feels like 10 Family Dollar stores up and down Dorchester Road, or in the Food Line grocery store, or over at the Walmart and Target and Tanger outlet, because I live here. So I see these things unfolding day to day, and I feel like somebody who is truly on the ground, boots on the ground, can make a difference up in Columbia, for this district.
Speaking of voting, and I know you and I talked about it off camera, but for those who watch my show, I'm on a crusade, and I've been on a crusade since I've been doing this show for over 3 years now. But here we are, it's 2024, and I've been preaching this sermon on every mountain that you can imagine, especially to my millennials and my Gen Zers. I've got a daughter that's a millennial and a Gen Zer. And a lot of them are discouraged, and they're discouraged for a lot of reasons, and a lot of reasons they don't know. A lot of the misinformation and disinformation, the hating, well, it don't matter. They all the same. The lesser of two evils. Your vote don't count, and all that foolishness. There are people who have an agenda to oppress you and depress you. You got to understand this election in 2024, and I've been saying this, and it is the mantra of the Geno Jones Show when it comes to this election, and all the down ballot, all the other. We have special elections like yours in November, of course. We've got the presidential election. Of course, that means U.S. senators. Every seat in the House of Representatives is going to be up to be voted on. Your local, and this is so key, your governor's mansions, the governorships, your local state senators, your local state representatives, like yourself that's running for this position, because those people even have a bigger influence on your life than the president does. But this election, I just got to say it, Tiffany Spann-Wilder, now you can give me your take. It's not even about a personality. It's really not, to me. It's a choice between your freedom and your oppression. So be very careful and be smart and wise who you vote for. It's not about voting for the person that you like or love, or that you think is good looking, or a lot of foolishness you may have heard in the barbershop, in a hair salon, or online on TikTok or Snapchat. Think, be smart, read, research, listen, just watch this show. Because I'm going to give you the truth. I'm a straight no chaser. Before I lie to you, I won't say anything at all. But I'll come with receipts. I'm not an attorney, but attorneys, like you said, you have to present in a courtroom. When you're the judge, an attorney better not bring their behind in there with some hearsay. You better have facts and evidence to back it up. So I always got receipts, but it's a choice between our freedom and our oppression, because of people who don't want you to vote and telling you not to vote, or telling you, oh, you should vote for third party or this person or that person. It's only a choice. It's a binary choice. You got two choices. And those choices are your freedom or your oppression. Now, I'll just get your take. But that's the way I'm looking at it right now.
Well, I think you summed it up pretty well when you said your freedom or your oppression. I think one of the biggest issues we face with our youth is that some of them do not believe that slavery really happened.
Come on now. And then people don't want you to teach it now. In certain states, they don't want you to teach the truth about history. And they want to ban books.
It happened. It absolutely happened. Jim Crow happened. And here's what I want folks to understand, especially your younger audience or your disbelievers about this. There are things that have manifested today that I don't know if they recognize the reach back and historical perspectives. We have just begun in the past 2 years to celebrate Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the celebration not of the freedom of slaves, it was the knowledge that they were free.
Come on now, that part.
They had been freed um, by government acknowledgement, but no one told them, allowed them to continue to move forward as if they were slaves. And you best believe those that oversaw them knew this, but what you don't know, you don't know.
And
And
they
so,
did it, not to cut you. And the sinister part, Tiffany Spann-Wilder, they did it for nearly 3 years.
yes, they did it because it was to their advantage. And so, for someone to do something so deceptive, it's clear that oppression is the name of the game. So then we move from this period where people are like, I'm free, I can do what I want to do. Well, then we go into sharecropping where things aren't so fair. You are uh legally free, but technically not really, because you're beholden to what is determined to be your fair wage based on what it is you have produced or not produced. Then we get to this renaissance in our history for African Americans, Reconstruction, where we have African American men, because our women still didn't have the right to vote at that time, but our men did, going to Congress. Robert Smalls, there was just a beautiful production at the Gilliard Auditorium about his life. And so we have Black men in the halls of Congress representing the state of South Carolina. Um, a beautiful thing. But then we end up with Jim Crow. And so this is the key point that I need people to understand. At some point, people got complacent because they could say, I's free. Freedom alone in name means nothing if you don't have freedom in deed. And so those folks didn't always participate because, one, our women couldn't vote. It was only our men. And then they were worried about the day-to-day, just eating and feeding the family and taking care of them. Through systematic laws, those who sat at the table with people like Robert Smalls decided that they weren't worthy to be there. And so they started chipping at the fabric of society with a law here, a law there. And when no one was fighting about it, no one was speaking up and saying anything, we end up with a whole system,
yes, we did,
called Jim Crow. And so we go from the halls of Congress to being knocked back down to the fields and to the back of the bus. And if our generation is not careful, we may find ourselves again in a posture like that. Don't be fooled by the fact that you can go buy Louis Vuitton shoes, that you can be Gucci down. Don't be fooled by the fact that you can carry Kate Spade and all these things. Don't be fooled by this stuff. They're material things, and a lot of us are in postures where we can afford to buy these things. And kudos to you, but don't let the stuff fool you. Okay, we're a consumer market, so the store's going to take your money. Those folks are going to take your money. They're happy about that. But don't turn a blind eye to society and your brothers. Just because you rolled up to the red light in a Benz and your brother rolled up in a Pinto, don't mean you know better. Don't mean he know worse. Just in a different state of life right now. But you can't forget about your kin. You can't forget about the man next to you. What we do for each other is what is going to sustain us. And when you don't go to the polls because you think you got it going on because you got the house in the gated community, you're setting yourself and the rest of us up for demise. Sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. But at the end of the day, will you be oppressed or will you be uplifted? And that's what we've got to figure out. We cannot sit at home on election day. We can't sit at home in the primary. We can't sit at home on election day. And the thing about it is, I would say 90 to 95% of your employers are even closed when there is a federal election day. If you don't want to stand in the line, go early vote.
Come on now.
Go and vote. But I don't care when you do it. Go and vote. It is your vote is your voice. If you don't speak up, you can't complain about it. You absolutely just can't do that. But whatever you do, don't walk away. I've had some engagements with younger people, and they say, "Oh, this person's too old. This person's too old." Hey, everybody up there's old. Somebody got to run the country. Do you want the old person to run the country that has your best interest at heart, or the one who don't give a rip about you? And at the end of the day, will want to turn the clock back.
And who wants to not just wants to oppress you, has already putting people in place. You were a judge, the Supreme Court justices, as I call them, orange jumpsuit. You know who put 3 Supreme Court justices who lied, who perjured themselves in front of Congress to the Senate. Oh no, we would never touch or affect Roe versus Wade. And as soon as they got on the bench, what did they do? And let's talk about our own state right here. There's a 6-week abortion ban. 6 weeks. You have freedom or oppression. Those who want to oppress you, including some of the people who so-called represent you today in Congress. A 6-week abortion ban. They want to have a national abortion ban. Speaking of oppression. So those are some of the things that in the South Carolina State House you'd have to deal with, Tiffany Spann-Wilder.
So those are personal, for me, those are personal decisions that people have to make. And one of the most troubling things about the abortion issue, certainly, when I went to law school, Roe versus Wade was the law. I mean, that was the premise that you started out on. Never in my life did I think we'd be having this discussion about the legality of Roe versus Wade. That is what we call in the law precedent. Those are things that are sort of deep-seated, kind of fundamental principles. And so with Roe being moved aside, then you start to question, well, okay, what about all these other things that I learned in law school that were foundational, fundamental principles of the law? And especially this generation, I'm going to bring this one up because maybe this will touch a nerve for them. You don't have segregated schools anymore. Most of your children's friends are probably diverse. It's not just kids that look like them. So that the ability to marry who you want to marry, no matter what their skin color is, came from a case called Loving versus Virginia. You've probably seen the movie about the Lovings. And oddly enough, that was their last name, the Lovings. They wanted to be married, but couldn't be because he was white and she was black. And so that was something that the Supreme Court said, you get to marry who you want to marry. So for those of you who are in relationships like that, if you're not paying attention to Roe versus Wade, it starts there with the woman's body today. Then is it going to roll back the clock and say you can't marry the person that you love?
Or birth control, or your voting rights. So you're talking about not voting. Well, if you let those who want to oppress you, this MAGA cult, get in office, you won't have to worry about voting because they'll take away your voting rights and then your civil rights. And then who's to say that all of a sudden you won't have someone in office that will send the U.S. military, that'll send the Marines to downtown Charleston or Columbia or Chicago or New York or Atlanta if you want to peacefully protest because you don't like the fact that you've lost as a woman, you've lost your reproductive rights, or you've lost your voting rights, or civil rights, or rights to marry and love whoever you want to love or marry.
Exactly. And then that ties back. So a case like Loving, it is a part of the foundation of um, people in the LGBTQ community to be able to marry who they want to marry. So what I need everybody to understand, when you find yourself as a part of a minority group, if you turn a blind eye to the things that are happening to one group, no matter what your personal beliefs are about that group, once they annihilate group A, you next. You up next.
They're coming for you.
Whenever you go to the baseball game, there's one batter up, and once they get to the base, somebody else is coming. Somebody's coming from the dugout. So I think we have to look in a broader perspective at these things. No matter what you believe about gay and lesbian, queer marriage, if you are, and especially for our culture, for people of African American descent, and some of us are so tied into the church that we say, oh, that's not what God would want us to do. That's not supported in the Bible. The God I serve loves everybody. He died for my sins. And so if you think that's a sin, just know that God is going to work with them. Okay. So that's their prerogative. But when you stand with people who are willing to take those rights away from them, when they get through with them, they're coming for you.
Yes, they
And
are.
that's the thing we've got to remember and embrace. You got to let people live their own lives. I'm not here to judge you. You're not here to judge me. My pastor, Reverend Calvert Brantley, St. Matthew Baptist Church here in North Charleston, spoke on that on Sunday, just talking about how we have to make sure that we are accountable in what we do, and we can't put blinders on and put people in boxes. The God we serve is bigger than that. And it is a holistic approach of loving people. God is love. And so if God is love, we have to love all of those that he has put here, good, bad, or indifferent. You
And
don't
Judge, let me
have
say this, Judge. Let me jump in. Because it's a saying, and you probably heard it too, or somebody in your family, maybe your grandmother, like I had, or my mother will still say, in relationship to what you were just saying, she would say, "You don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in.
hello.
So
Hello.
you are in no position. Who died and left you in charge? You are in no position to judge nobody because you don't have a heaven or hell to put them in." I was like, okay.
Exactly. That is, I know that phrase well. And it is true. It is absolutely true. And so these are the kind of things that um, I would say those who are the designers, the architects of division, find these kinds of fringe issues to divide us on. And I would submit to you that at the end of the day, we all probably have far more in common than we have apart.
Absolutely.
And we need to focus on those things to come together to keep democracy in place, because you got folks that can take us in a different direction. When you look at January 6th, that again is something that I never thought in my lifetime
You and me both.
I would see. And I will tell you, just recently, back in September, I was on Capitol Hill with a group of youth, and I was sad to see the barricades that are still in place there. I had the fortune of spending several summers in Washington, D.C., working in college, going to different programs, and working in the Army Judiciary, doing some reserve time up there. And it was sad to see that we had barricades in the place, the halls of freedom, I would call them, that we had to do that because people can't behave. They can't accept that there was a transition of government, and it should have been a peaceful
Yes.
transition of government. So it's real. It's right in front of our face, and a lot of our young people are worried, I think, about the wrong things.
Yeah.
They're focusing on the wrong things. We got to look at the big picture, but we can't let the train go off the track. And you got to get in there and get involved so that you can make a difference. But making a difference is not staying home and not exercising your vote. If you've got a college student, make sure they call the voter registration office and request an absentee ballot. In this race, for House Seat 109, absentee ballot requests are due back in by January 19th.
Okay.
When I was away at school, I voted. I was up on what was happening in my local community. So, parents, you need to put that on your kids and say, hey, we got an election coming up. It's for the city council, it's for the town council. You need to vote. I know you're away at school, but this is home base. And you got to make sure that the people here are doing the things that are going to promote you, so that when you get out of college and come back home, hopefully you're in a good space. And so we've got to do that. I don't care if your parent is in a nursing facility, if they're in a rehab facility, they're a registered voter. You need to put them on the phone and have them request the ballot. You can take it back. You don't even have to mail it in if you're not sure if it's going to get there. You can take it back. If you have a child that's in the military, they're still registered here. You need to have them request their ballots. You need to do that.
When is,
And
and would you, Judge, if you don't
mhm,
mind, let everybody know when early voting, just to emphasize your point,
for
when does
this
early
for
voting
this
begin?
election, early voting for the House seat 109 begins next Tuesday, which is January the 16th, and it will go through January 26th. However, I want to make sure that you are aware of this. The Democratic presidential primary, the first in the country, is going to be in South Carolina.
Mhm.
That is on February the 3rd. The early voting period for that begins January 22nd. So I will say this to you: if you live in House District 109, if you don't have time to go out twice, if you go between January 22nd and January 26th, you can do your early vote for House Seat 109 as well as the presidential primary. You can just knock it all out at once.
Thank you for that. Now, listen, before I have to let you run, I want you to please, I know there's some core issues that you're very passionate about. Like you said, you are a child of District 109. So why don't you address those core issues if you don't mind?
Gino, our issues in this district are what I call cyclical, and that means they're running in a circle. We need more opportunities for our youth. I grew up in the Acabee community, and back then we lived at the community center. You went home when the street light came on. There were opportunities for us. I jumped double dutch. I did cheerleading. I did softball. I did all of those things between the community centers in North Charleston, the Janine Batten Center, which is over in the Wayland, the Murray Hill Center, up at Garrett High School. We did these things. Somewhere along the way, we stopped putting time, money, and resources in our teenagers. And we told them that the community centers weren't open to them after the age of 13. We stopped putting programming in. So when you don't give them a place to go, they go to the streets. Then the street is going to teach them. Now they're getting in trouble. Now we got crime issues because they want what they want right then. And that may not mean going to work. That means I'm going to take it from Tiffany. I'm going to take it from Geno because I want what I want. When people fail to have a target for their life, they don't move forward with education and things like that, they're going to resort to crime. They want to do what they want to do. Now we've got a crime issue when your record is messed up and you've changed your life. You come back and you say, hey, I'm getting this together. Now we got another problem. You can't get a quality job. I'm not saying you can't get any job. You can't get a quality job. And what's a quality job? A quality job is not a place where you just go. It's a career path. It's some place where you can see and make movement, where you got a retirement plan, where you got health insurance, where you got dental insurance, you got vacation time. You've got some place where you can go and grow. And because of people's background, sometimes they're not able to get some of those opportunities. So not engaging and protecting and advancing our youth creates the problem that leads to crime.
Yes.
And then with crime leads to us not having the ability to get some of our best jobs, and that's really unfortunate. I think we can change that here. It's not going to be overnight. It's got to be an investment in time in these young people and moving things forward. Everybody is not desirous of being a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief. Some of them are brilliant with the computer. They want to be programmers. They want to be gamers. Why aren't we putting resources in so that they could do that? I believe that for every dream that a child has, there's a path forward. And it should be our job as mothers, fathers, aunts, and uncles, and community leaders to put them on the path they desire to be on. Because for me, success is not being this title or that title. Success is getting up, going to work every day, taking care of your business and taking care of your family. That's what success is to me. It's not a certain box or title, but it's putting people in the path that they can do that. And right now, we're not there. We are absolutely not there. There's money out there, Gina, that needs to come back to this district. As a representative, I would be representing um, the entire state and making sure that South Carolina moves forward. But we need Medicaid expansion, all of these things. So they're just not things that are tied to our district. They're things that are tied to the entire state that will make 109 even better. So who better than a homegirl
I
to
can't think of anybody better.
who better than a homegirl? You know, I've been here. As I said to some folks the other day, I'm a born ya, I've been ya, and I ain't gonna leave ya. I'm here. You want people who are committed to the plight, and that's me. That's who I am.
Well, I want to thank you, but before you do anything else, I want you to let everybody know once again, or first, where they can support you. They can learn more about your campaign, where they can support your campaign, volunteers, donations, whatever it is. And once again, give everybody the early voting information, the primary information. And you have a permanent, let me just say this, you have a permanent home here on the Geno Jones Show. I think you knew that we've known each other. You've been very supportive of my support of young people. With one of the features on my radio show, my Academic All-Stars, which I'm going to bring to my TV show. So let everybody know, once again, where they can support your campaign. They can go online and volunteer, learn more, whatever, and give everybody the early voting and the actual primary day to vote for your special election.
Will too. So our website is Spann-Wilder, SPANNWILDER, the number 4, SC109.com. So that is my website, and it will lead you to all spaces. You can go there and donate to the campaign. There is no amount too small. Every dollar counts in getting the word out. There is a tab to volunteer. We just, believe it or not, if you want a sign in your yard, that's volunteering. We'll bring it and put it in your yard to let people know. If you want to host a meet and greet, if you want to go door to door, if you want to run errands for the campaign, all of those things are appreciated. We also have a presence on Instagram, Spann-Wilder for SC 109, and on Facebook, Tiffany Spann-Wilder for SC House District 109. We're there. The special election date is January 30th, the last Tuesday in this month. If you remember nothing else, between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., that is the election. Early voting is January 16th through the 26th. Geno, I want to make note that this district is in Charleston and Dorchester counties.
Okay.
So there's a small portion. There was some redistricting in the past year or so. So the community I grew up in, Accoby and Union Heights, they're no longer in 109. So if you can visualize this, if you are coming from the peninsula and get off of I-26 on Dorchester Road, you would take a left turn onto Dorchester heading toward Ashley Phosphate. Everything on Dorchester Road leading up to Ashley Phosphate is now a part of 109. That extends over to Azalea Avenue, that parallel side there. Then when you get to Ashley Phosphate, if you take a left, the neighborhoods behind the Publix are a part of the district. And if you go to the right, we go over to the Windsor Hill community.
Okay.
All of that. And even the Tanger outlet area is a part of House District 109. And if you're not sure, you can go to scvotes.org and check your registration to determine if you are in the district or not. But all of those neighborhoods, and I'm going to try to go up the road in my mind, the Wayland, Murray Hill, which is the Bonds Avenue area, Wando Woods, Oak Ridge Terrace, Glen Terrace, Evanston Estates, Covington Hills, Jericho on the Ashley, Whitfield on the Ashley, Riverbend, the Air Force Base, the areas behind Hunley Park, moving up to Forest Hills 1, Forest Hills 2, Archdale, Indigo Fields, and then those newer neighborhoods that are behind the Publix over to Windsor Hills. That's my community. So you can see I've been here a long time.
Boy, you got it. I know. I'm listening. I'm like, boy, you didn't miss one. That's impressive. You did not miss a one.
It's my community. When you've been here, you know what's happening here.
Absolutely. Sure. Tiffany Spann-Wilder, may God continue to bless you, your family, your business, and your campaign, and all of us here. Thank you so much. Like I said, you have a permanent home on this show. So anytime you want to come on, if there's a message you want to get out, something you want to address, I'm a phone call away. So I was honored to have you. You've been doing great work in the community, and I'm really excited for you. So I believe in speaking things into existence. So I don't know if you're cool with that, but I'm sure we were probably raised the same way. That my grandmother say, Jeannie, name it and claim it. Speak it into existence. So I am congratulating you because God has already ordained Tiffany Spann-Wilder, your new South Carolina State Representative for District 109. That's just me talking.
I receive that word.
I'm just the vessel to convey that out to. So we are already claiming it.
I receive.
You say, what is it saying? Where two are together in agreement. Come on now.
He's in the midst. And so what I appreciate you saying is that I've been here and I've been doing the things. Campaigning is a task. And I think people are saying, are you coming to this? Can you get here? Can you get there? And I'm like, I'm one person and I'm trying to tap into all of those places. But I think because I have been here and I have been a supporter financially and physically to things over time, people have seen what it is that I have done. I have planted the seed. It has grown, and now it's time to sow. Okay, it's time to reap the harvest of that. And I truly believe that that's why I'm in this space at this point. I have sown the seeds, and I am here now to reap the harvest in terms of taking on um, this opportunity to go to Columbia and be a voice, an ardent voice for the people here in the low country. So don't y'all start talking about me if you see a clip of me on the house floor and I give them my best Gullah Geechee, because I want them to know where I'm from. You know, there is Tiffany for the boardroom and there's Tiffany for the porch too. And if I've got to give them the porch dialogue too, then that's okay. Because I always tell people I am Tiffany and I happen to be a lawyer. That's what I do. That's not who I am. I'm a girl from North Charleston, South Carolina, and I'll never forget that. And the things that people in this community put into me to help me be where I am today, I'll never forget and never disclaim where I came from, because I'm proud of who I am and where God has put me today.
So now I'm gonna need you all to go to Spann-Wilder, the number 4, SC109.com, and support and volunteer. Thank you, Tiffany Spann-Wilder. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can't wait to have you back. Told you, dynamic, beautiful sister, inside and out, and she's been very supportive. She, like I said, she's supported just my initiative with my Geno's Academic All Stars. And one thing I admire about people like Tiffany Spann-Wilder, they do a lot of work, and they move in silence. They move stealthy. They're not like, hey, look at me, I did this. I was raised, if God chooses you to be a vessel, to be a blessing for someone else, you be the blessing. It's not transactional. I don't keep a receipt. I don't keep a tab. If God puts it on my heart to bless you, even if I don't even know you, and he just says, I want you to bless this person, it's done. You don't even have to thank me. And that's it. You just move on. So I admire people who move like that, because I move the same way. Listen, I got to get out of here. Thank you for sticking around, everybody. But listen, Tiffany Spann-Wilder, she had so much to talk about that was so relevant, and it was so powerful. So I'm like, sister, look, this is my show and my media company. So we just having a conversation, and it's going to end when you get through talking. So thank everybody for tuning in. God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live Monday through Friday. My normal start times, 6:30 p.m. But if I have a special start time earlier or later, I could do that. That's the great thing about ownership. When you own something, you can do it your way. You don't have the colonizers telling you what you can and can't do and can and can't say. I digress. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. He is the CEO of Designer Cuts, brand new location, beautiful location. The Charleston metro area, actually Goose Creek. Go on Instagram, Kel be cutting up. Check him out. Check out his work. The brother is bad. KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones, she's the drip director, as I like to say, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check her and her collection, her LX.NCL_collections. So it's on Instagram, LX.N like Nanette, C like Charlie, L like Lexi. .com. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be tomorrow or Thursday, because some people may be watching me on Thursday. If you're watching me live, it'll be tomorrow. If you're not watching me live, maybe it's Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, whenever. Thursday live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, in case you're wondering, my conversation with my co-workers, Savannah J. Stephen St. James. We had a sit-down conversation with President Joe Biden at Hannibal's Restaurant on Monday. You'll get to hear that entire conversation, star 997 or star997.com if you're not here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro. But if you're here, star 997, number one station in Charleston for like 20 years straight. Make sure you check it out. President Biden. It's a great conversation. That's all I'm going to say. Say less so he can say more, but you don't want to miss it. I guarantee you, you don't want to miss that Friday morning, 7 o'clock hour, Eastern time. So if you're in Chicago, 6 o'clock hour, 4 o'clock hour out on the West Coast. But make sure you don't miss that conversation. Once again, I want to thank Tiffany Spann-Wilder, running to be the South Carolina State Representative in House District 109. We'll see you Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I love you. I'll holler. I'm out.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.